Another compliance over coffee, and Tina Walsh with you. And this morning the topic is compliance done for you. What a wonderful statement that is. How fabulous would it be to hear someone say that to you as a budding sourcing agent, not wanting to hear about compliance, not wanting to learn about compliance, not really wanting anything to do with compliance. The term done for you. Leave it to us. Go and sit back. Get on with building your relationships. We will do the compliance for you. Fantastic, I can hear you all saying. And a lot of you go for it. Why is that? Because compliance isn't a sexy topic. A lot of you don't want to read it. And you know that there's going to be work and effort involved in learning about it. Now, you know for ages that I've talked about the fact that insurance, redress, ICO and HMRC are not full compliance, but it is part of the setup. But through NAPSA, the National Association of Professional Sourcing Agents, we are now being approached by sourcing agents who have paid for this kind of service, the compliance done for you. Now, because NAPSA stands as the trade body for the sector, and we carry out a 25-point check on sourcing agents prior to approving them, we go through absolutely everything. And when we were approached by, I think to date this year, 6 sourcing agents that are working with or have paid for the services of a done for you company, and there are, I believe, maybe 2 or 3 at the moment out there that are doing this, and they all seem to operate in slightly different ways. But we're going to cover what we found to be the main aspect of this done for you. And these sourcing agents approached us to join NAPSA because, 1, they believed they had everything in place. 2, they wanted to join the National Association and have what they termed as being accredited because we did all of the checks on them. And so we have conversations with people, usually before they join, to chat with them about how it works, the cost, etc. And it became apparent during these conversations that these sourcing agents had had their compliance set up remotely by a company that does it for you. And they charge either a fee up front or sometimes you can pay monthly, I think. And this company sets up insurance, redress, ICO, HMRC. Some of them don't do all of them. Some do a combination of where they'll provide insurance and AML, or they'll do insurance, ICO and AML. There are variations on how these companies work. But let me talk to you about the difficulties for a sourcing agent having gone through this at the core level. One of the main problems is that the sourcing business is your business, the person who owns the sourcing business. And whilst you can outsource someone else setting up compliance for you, and there is nothing illegal about that at all, if you don't understand what should be done and how it should be done and what you should have in place, how can you possibly know if the company that you're paying to do it for you is doing it correctly? Or that there is actually cover in place for you? You're just taking them at their word because you don't know. And the other thing to consider is this. If that company does it for you and they've got it wrong and you're caught, who's going to pay your fine? Because from experience, I can say they probably wouldn't. Now, these sourcing agents that came to us that had used this type of service, excuse me, I read through all that they had, and I went in detail with 3 of them that were willing to sit with me and go through in detail and work through from a NAPSA perspective if we actually could accept what they were providing us. And when we do this, I base it on the law, the legislation, and working directly with both redress schemes, NSLAT, which is National Trading Standards, and directly with HMRC's anti-money laundering team. And when I read through all of the information, I said, I have concerns about the insurance cover, and I have serious concerns about you being covered for anti-money laundering supervision. Leave this with me for a little while and I will go off and make inquiries and I will feed back to you. And so I went off to 2 or 3 insurance brokers and submitted details of the insurance and asked them for their comments as to whether it would be potentially fit for purpose for the sourcing sector. And also went to HMRC's anti-money laundering team directly. I have a direct line with their named email addresses to communicate with the whole team. I didn't give company names, I gave scenario setup. And the email that came back from HMRC was this. They are the sourcing business that states they cover this other business are registered for AML supervision with us. The business that claims they are covered by this business are not registered and therefore not covered. I asked for them in confirmation in writing, which they gave me an email, and I forwarded the email to those 3 sourcing agents. Those 3 agents then came to me and said, can we speak directly with HMRC's anti-money laundering team and go into specific detail for our companies? I asked HMRC's AML team if they were willing to do this and they said yes. So I put each of these sourcing agents in touch with HMRC's anti-money laundering team. They each communicated privately with HMRC and they each had responses which basically said the same thing. Now I have the email response to one of those sourcing business in front of me on my laptop. And I want to read it to you. Now it states the name of the company that has the sourcing business that claims to cover this sourcing agent for AML supervision. I'm not going to say the name, nor am I going to give you the name of the sourcing business that had paid for done for you compliance. But HMRC say, I have checked the supervision register for the company name of the company whose AML supposedly covers this other sourcing agent. Under the registration number, and it gives the registration number. This business is approved for supervision for only the premises listed on their application, which can be viewed on the supervised register. There are no further premises or agents under that registration. Confirmation that a business is registered with us is not endorsement for you to enter into any commercial transactions with that business. The source's business is not registered for AML supervision. And if they are a different business to that sourcing business that claimed their AML covered them, and they come under the scope of money laundering regulations, then they will be required to register in their own right. Why is that such an important statement? The statement from the done for you in this particular case is our insurance will cover you, our AML will cover you, you need to get your own redress and ICO. And this company came to NAPSA with that setup, and I was concerned certainly about the AML and about the insurance as well. Now, HMRC confirmed that that sourcing business's AML registration did not cover any other company's AML. Now, I don't know how many sourcing agents are out there currently that believe they have paid for a done-for-you service and have AML company cover with this particular company. Because HMRC have come out and stated, actually you don't. And the reason being is that either the only way that another sourcing company's registrations and insurance will cover you is if you're either employed by that company. And by the way, a contract stating that you are employed by them does not necessarily mean that for AML or certainly HMRC's perspective, you are covered by them. For employment, HMRC state there has to be a large amount of control over how you work, when you work, what you work on, and how you report back. So in this case, employment wasn't the cover, and the only other way that it can be done is a sub-agent. So let me explain how sub-agents work. You can have a company that is an agency, and they have all the compliance in place, and they work with agents as a sub-agent to their company, and their compliance would cover them only if that main company was registered themselves for AML supervision, and they registered every sub-agent that worked with them, the company name, the people who work with it, and the trading address, and the appropriate fee was paid for that sub-agent. Now, if you remember back in this email response, HMRC came back and stated that whilst that core sourcing business was registered for AML supervision, this supposed sub-agent wasn't independently registered under that core agent's registration. There was no record of registration for this sourcing agent who had paid for this cover, and so therefore for the period of time that they work with this paid for you, done for you company, they have had no AML cover at all in place. So I say to you again, please, please triple check. Do not take someone's word for it, whether they assure you over the phone, via email, whether they're standing on a stage. It makes not a jot of difference. If HMRC catch you, you stand a chance of being fined. And if you have traded and this has happened for a longer period of time, that fine could be significantly heavy. So what can you do if you have paid for a done-for-you cover and you are unsure if it actually covers you? For one, you can come to the National Association and you can email the team at hello@NAPSA. That's November Alpha Papa Sierra Alpha, NAPSA, hello@napsa.org.uk. And in the title, put "Done for you?" question. And email the team, and we will do everything that we can to help and support you work out if you actually have cover. We do not charge for that, even if you are not a member. Remember, NAPSA is the trade body. We want everyone to operate professionally and legally. And we know that the vast majority of people that come into the sector also want to do this. They are just potentially sometimes misguided or don't understand exactly what is required and pay for a service without understanding what that service should be.